Both in their prime, no injuries. Who you taking, Chris Paul or Derrick Rose? That question was trending on Twitter, and of course people were freaking out. It's upsetting that people think Derrick Rose is even in CP3's league. If you think CP3 comes near D-Rose, you're high. Obviously, people are passionate, but where's the proof? So many people just insult the other side with no argument. They just say they're dumb. Oh yeah, but that's what people do on Twitter, duh. Here's another great question for this season. Who would you take if you had to win the championship this year? LeBron James or Kawhi Leonard? In this video, I will explain with proof why Chris Paul should be taken over Derrick Rose and why Kawhi is my guy over LeBron. Hey guys, it's Casey Kiernan, host of the AM Hoops YouTube channel. We are starting another week here with 5 videos, always dropping at 6 Eastern, all the way through the NBA suspension, just waiting for the playoffs to come back. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit me up on Twitter at Casey Kiernan or over on IG at AM Hoops. So the problem with CP3 versus Derrick Rose is we never saw prime D Rose. We don't know how good he would have been. He had 3 of the best first full years out of almost anyone ever, and he was robbed of his prime by injury after injury. Chris Paul may have been robbed of his true prime as well. He was crazy athletic in New Orleans, then he injured his knee and became the point god in LA, Houston, and OKC. At his best, he averaged 23 points per game and 11 assists in 08-09. His knee injury took some athleticism away, but he was still a top 5 to 10 player. The issue though with Chris Paul, he's only been to 1 conference finals in 11 postseasons. D Rose got to a conference finals in his 3rd year before injury started. So to make this comparison fair between D Rose and CP3, let's look at both of their age 22 seasons. D Rose won MVP that year, and Chris Paul maybe could have won MVP, but Kobe Bryant had a case too, and he had never won before. Here's their stats from that age 22 season. The good news is they both played about 37 minutes per game, so the comparison is fair. D Rose wins on points and blocks, but Rose took about 4 more shots per game. Despite having almost 12 assists per game, CP3 turned the ball over 1 fewer time per game. Chris Paul was also better from the field and from 3. He led the league in steals, and he set an NBA record of 108 straight games with a steal that year. And while we're talking defense, yes, both guys made first team All-NBA, but CP3 made second team All-Defense. If I'm taking one of these guys to be my point guard, it would be Chris Paul, but if I want to pick which guy's the better number 1 option, it would clearly be Derrick Rose. MVP D Rose could score the ball basically whenever he wanted to. By definition, he is the better number 1 option. D Rose is score first, Chris Paul is pass first. But Chris Paul had the better season overall. He had better point guard stats like assists, turnovers, field goal percentage. He played better defense, and he had 6 fewer wins, but he was in the better Western Conference. I would take Chris Paul to build my team around, but if I had to get a bucket at the end of a game, I'd go with D Rose. If I want to win a championship though, I would also go with Chris Paul, but the problem with both of these guys is it's really hard, almost impossible, to have the best player on a championship team be a point guard. If we go back to 1990, only 2 point guards have fit that description. One was Chauncey Billups, who had Ben and Rasheed Wallace, plus Rip Hamilton, and Stephen Curry, who was, I don't know, reinventing basketball. It makes sense why people didn't think they'd win in 2015.
I don't like jump shooting teams. I don't think you can win the championship beating good teams shooting jumpers.
Well, Stephen Curry proved Charles Barkley and the rest of the NBA wrong. They won a championship with a point guard as their best player. But again, Steph is different. He may be the best 3-point shooter of all time. Isaiah Thomas had 2 Hall of Famers in 1990, and advanced stats say Isaiah was not the Pistons' best player. You have to go back to 1988, and Magic Johnson was a 6'9" point guard. Stephen Curry won it all in 2015 as the best player on the Warriors, but their next 2 championship teams, Kevin Durant was that guy. He was the focal point. Score-first point guards have way too much on their plate. They're initiating the offense, setting up their teammates, and playing defense. If that player also is his team's main offensive weapon, that is just too much. You can't do it all against elite talent in the playoffs when defense ratchets up. A great example of this is Kyrie Irving. Kyrie won a ring in Cleveland. In 2016, he hit the biggest shot in Cavs history, but he wasn't their best player. That was LeBron James. Kyrie then wants his own team. He goes to Boston. Besides his crappy leadership skills, he was the best player on the Celtics, and it failed. And this isn't new. Throughout NBA history, the best position to have as your best player has always been big men. This chart from 538 shows that 0 point guards were the best player on a title team from 1952 to 1970. And it's only happened 8 times in history. 3 of those were Magic Johnson. Lately, the most valuable position to have is an elite forward. In the last 10 years, a small or power forward has been the best player 7 times. 7 out of 10. And even though we're in a golden age of great point guards like Damian Lillard, Russell Westbrook, Kyrie Irving, Stephen Curry, James Harden, come playoff time, elite forwards win championships. Now you might ask, why would I want CP3 to win a championship? He's only been to 1 conference finals. Look, I feel for him. He's had plenty of chances to win a ring with talent around him. First, the league vetoed a trade for him to team up with Kobe Bryant and the Lakers. His best year to win a championship on the Clippers, he broke his hand in the playoffs, and he tweaked a hamstring during that conference finals with the Rockets. Could Chris Paul have won the title? We don't know, but he had a better chance than score-first Derrick Rose. It is easier for a team to scheme against a score-first point guard in the playoffs. We've seen it time and time again. Russell Westbrook, Allen Iverson, Damian Lillard. The point is, if I want to win a championship, a point guard will not be my best player. Derrick Rose, CP3, whoever. But if I have to pick one, I'm going with Chris Paul. You can build around him, pair him with a championship level frontcourt player, and Chris Paul won't have to do everything. So if these days you need an elite forward, small forward or power forward, to win a championship, I think the more interesting question is, for this year, if this year ever finishes, who would you rather have to win a title, LeBron James or Kawhi Leonard? Both guys, of course, are great options. They both raise their games in the playoffs. They both play defense. They both have rings and finals MVPs. But there is no player I'd want in crunch time of a playoff game right now, or to hit a big shot, or to lead my team back from 2 games down than Kawhi Leonard. Now I get why people would still lean toward LeBron. He's an MVP candidate this season. Even in year 17, LeBron James is showing us he can dominate opponents. The Lakers go from Bucks level offense when he's on the court, all the way down to Magic level when he's off it. He is super important to the Lakers. Kawhi, on the other hand, not even in the MVP discussion. The Clippers do fine without him. He just elevates an already really good roster. But the regular season makes people forget how great playoff Kawhi really is. He has stepped up in the playoffs every time he's been called upon. Last year, despite being hobbled, he led the postseason in minutes, points, steals, offensive rebounds, free throws, and win shares. We've all seen this video of LeBron James reacting to a 21-year-old Kawhi coming into the game during the 2013 finals. LeBron, on the other hand, has had his share of playoff failure. Even after he shook the whole not clutch myth, he's been the best player on a team that finished second 3 times. Kawhi, on the other hand, has no conscience. He's not afraid of anyone. In last year's playoffs, he was crucial in slowing down Giannis, and he hit maybe the biggest non-final shot ever.
Kawhi up top, looks at the clock, turns the corner for the win!
The knock on Kawhi has always been that he scores and plays defense, not much else. Well, this year, he's stepped up in other ways. Kawhi's got both the highest assist and usage rates of his career this season. And if you want to throw out the charts and the numbers to simplify this thing, there is just one number to focus on. Since Kawhi Leonard became an elite player in 2014, he's got 2 rings and 2 finals MVPs to LeBron James's 1. If there's one guy I'm going to pick this season, cold-blooded Kawhi is my guy. Now, I know that some of you disagree with me, maybe a lot of you. I just hope we do get a playoffs this season to find out who's right or wrong. Support AM Hoops and click subscribe. Don't miss a daily NBA video.